soon. Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
My name is Iman. And my name is Kasim.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate us kids from the inside out. In the USA, 70% of households eat cereal, and more than half eat it weekly. The average American eats about 160 bowls of cereal per year, or about 14 pounds. Most Americans purchase at least one box of cereal per shopping trip, and a collective total of 2.6 billion boxes of cereal a year. Wow, but this is sad. Most of that is just making us kids sick because it's packed with harmful additives and preservatives and colors that are destroying our brain, body, and soul. So what solution does the kid have that's still like in their cereal?
We have a superhero here today with us. He is a single-handed help us get the better options for cereal. Parker Brook left Big Food to revolution the cereal.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you left Big Food on your own journey to help us kids. Why? We would love to hear your story.
Yes, it's a great question. So I used to work at a big food company making a lot of not great products like Cheerios or Yoplait, other products that could be much better. And then when my daughter was born, I decided to leave because I felt like I could make a big difference. And I learned more about food and was on my own food as medicine health journey and realized the power of food it has on your bodies, right? And how it affects adults and kids. And so I left to create Lovebird, a clean cereal made from real food from the earth and no fake stuff. And it's people like yourselves and others that really lift it up and make Lovebird go and grow. And also that real food can still taste real good.
So, is there a specific thing that you just saw? Did you get sick, or did someone that you know get sick that you really thought that is really important? Was there a huge turning point?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have an autoimmune condition, so that opened me up to the idea of food as medicine and really kickstart my health journey. And then when my daughter was born, it kind of called into question all of the convenient food or junk food I was making at my previous job. And I knew there was a better way to clean it up, right? You can use real food ingredients like organic cassava root and organic honey and still make convenient foods that taste really great and that adults and kids can enjoy. And so there was a couple earth-shattering statistics for me as I dug into it. About 70% of a kid's diet is ultra-processed junk food, and over 1 in 2 kids now have a chronic health disease. And also there's a recent stat that was published that 12 to 19-year-olds now, 38% of them have pre-diabetes. So we've been in kind of this health crisis, and not many people were talking about it, and certainly not many people were creating brands to specifically combat that. And that's what I wanted to do with Lovebird, is to make a difference with food, because I think our food system percolates and runs into every aspect of our lives, from our health to our environment. And healthy soil makes healthy food, and healthy food makes healthy humans.
Yeah, it's so amazing what you're doing.
Kids have cereal for breakfast, and now they're trying to make us eat cereal for dinner. Why is fake food cereal so harmful?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of junk ingredients, right? You think about the incentives of why cereal, especially for big food companies, is to get people to eat more, to get kids to eat more, right? And so they do that by making highly addictive food with very cheap ingredients so they can make more money, right? So it's almost irresistible. Then they put a cartoon character on the front of the box to attract kids. They use bright colors with artificial food dyes. Yeah, exactly. And they do all of that to get your attention, right? As you walk down the aisle, there's actually a specific marketing strategy called, mom nag or kid ask, where they market towards kids. So when they're in the aisle, that the kid will pull down on her mom's hand or sleeve or dad, and be like, I want that. I want the cereal with Frozen on it, or I want the cereal with the toucan on it and all the bright colors. And so the deck is really stacked against parents and kids to eat healthy, because you're up against products that are very addictive in nature, very nutritionally depleted by the ingredients they use. And then they use marketing tactics to reach kids and influence them. So I would say what's in the box is really bad. The top ingredients to avoid are definitely refined grains, refined sugars, artificial food dyes, artificial flavors, and really just look for ingredients that you can pronounce, right? And that's why I put all the ingredients on the front of the box, because I was tired of seeing something that looked like it might be healthy and then turning over the side and looking at the back and seeing it was actually filled with junk. And so I proudly put all of my ingredients right there on the front.
We know that all these artificial colors are so bad for you. They can lead to anything from hyperactivity and cancer. We kids need to stay away from these ingredients.
So there are lots of parents that take their kids to a supermarket. So what is one thing that kids can, like, not one thing, what is something that kids can do to like try to easily go from these super ultra processed foods to something like your amazing Lovebird? Because I know the change can be hard.
Yeah, and I think with Lovebird, I try to make it easy, right? And I'm sure you all have tasted all the flavors, and there's not much of a trade-off versus Fruit Loops or Cocoa Puffs or some of the junk cereals. So, I mean, as a kid, it's hard. I mean, I think it's working with, parents and adults and really raising healthy kids and raising kids who are aware, involve them in cooking in the kitchen, involve them in food decisions and grocery list planning. That's something I do with my daughter. We make a list before we go to the store, and then she has a lot of fun finding those items in the grocery store. So you really create an environment where they're looking for the good stuff, and they're not just kind of looking around and seeing, bright colors and cartoon characters. And I think also educating kids around what types of foods impact your body, right? If you're eating a lot of food dyes, do you feel anxious? Do you feel like you have a ton of energy and you don't know what to do, leading to hyperactivity and all of those things. And then also highlighting the good thing that food can do, right? Like bananas can help keep your body flexible and strong. Protein can make you stronger. Walnuts for brain health. Blueberries are a great antioxidant, and just tie those foods and those colors to benefits. So the next time the kids are in the store, they can kind of have fun pointing those things out. And with my kids, I call them superfoods. So we always look out for the superfoods, whether it's salmon or blueberries, or whatever your superfoods are for your family. And they have a lot of fun with that.
So how can food companies like Kellogg's improve their cereals to try to go better?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in a tough spot, right? Because they've created products that are as cheap as they can possibly be and as great tasting or addictive tasting as they can possibly be. A company or a brand with a rabbit on it, a few years ago did remove artificial food dyes and sales plummeted, right? And so, they operate really from a very simplistic algorithm, right? Like they make what people will buy, right? And so if you and I and others listening vote with our dollar, we can actually shape our own food future, right? So if you stop buying Fruit Loops, if you stop buying Trix, they'll stop making it, or they'll make it differently. And so that's the power of voting with your dollar. I think oftentimes it's expecting these big food companies to change, and they won't unless they have to. And I think to make them have to change is voting with your dollar and either not buying it or buying something else. And that way you kind of speak with your dollar and help clean up food and actually shape your food future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like those cow. We were just like the Kellogg's Valley.
Yeah, we
not
just
just us. we were at them with the same rally with you. And why is like the cereals? Why are they safer in like other countries like Canada and England? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, there's different government standards in those countries, right? They don't allow some of the artificial food dyes, some of the other preservatives. Some don't allow the glyphosate. That's the country taking care of its own people, right? And I think now is a moment where a lot of that could change, probably for the better, right? Because the big food companies will do the absolute minimum to comply with what's safe or generally regarded as safe, which is a GRAS statement, which is a loophole within the FDA for companies to kind of self-regulate. And I think what happens in that case is you do the bare minimum to keep making the same junk you've always made. And so, there's kind of a top-down, bottom-up way to approach it. Top-down is more government. Bottom-up is more with the people. And I think I would vote with the people and vote with our dollars for better food items and then spread the word. I think everybody doesn't have the time to invest in thinking about their food as much as others. And I think the more you can spread information like you do with your work, I think is fantastic, especially appealing to younger kids, and make it cool to read labels and know what you're putting into your body.
Mm-hmm.
So we love how your brand is not just delicious, but has so much gut healing properties.
It's actually really good.
It's really good. So we have talked a lot about prebiotics on this podcast, and it can be hard to get some prebiotics into like our diet. So how did you do it while making it taste so good?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I think it's a simple answer that real food can taste real good. I mean, when your parents cook or wherever you go and you make meals yourselves, like they taste really good, right? And it's because you're using better ingredients and you care, right? Like if Big Food invited you over to their house for spaghetti, they'd probably cut the pasta in half, water down the pasta sauce, and sprinkle some, artificial colors on it, right? And I think when you invite someone to your home, you want to put forward the best dish possible. And I think for Lovebird, my ultimate test is having my daughter eat it every morning. And I want to make sure it's the best possible ingredients and also that it tastes good so that she eats it. We like things that taste good. And just because something is better for you doesn't mean it has to taste worse. I think it can taste even better. And then the prebiotic fiber is really coming from the cassava root, which is a root vegetable rich in prebiotic fiber and resistant starch. And so that helps feed the healthy bugs in your gut. And your gut health really impacts your mental health and your physical health. It really starts there. And so I think that a lot of health begins in your gut, and also helps, helps overall your health in general.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
So we also love how you use real sweeteners
And no fake sugar.
sugars.
So, so why do you choose like real sweeteners over fake sugar? Like a lot of kids don't understand what's really wrong. They know sugar is bad, but why is sugar bad?
Yeah, sugar exists on a spectrum, right? Like I think sugar in general is not necessarily bad. I think overconsumption of cereal is. And I think sugar itself has been kind of co-opted by food scientists, and they've, isolated and developed things like maltodextrin and other types of sugar derivatives, dextrose, and things like that, that are much more potent, right? And so if you look at the glycemic index or how it affects your blood sugar or how it affects your mood, if you eat something with a lot of sugar, you'll get really hyper, right? I'm sure everyone had Halloween not too long ago.
Yeah.
And you see how that happens. I think when you have fake sugars, it's hard to know how that affects your body. And really, it's hard for your body to recognize that sugar, right? I think we've been eating honey and maple syrup for thousands upon thousands of years. A lot of these new sweeteners, our body just doesn't really know what it is or how to use it. And so it creates a little bit of chaos within your body. So I think real sweeteners, our bodies are used to them. They also have usually have lower glycemic indexes, and help balance out your blood sugar a little bit more than pure sugar. And a lot of sugar, especially beet sugar, can have GMOs and things like that. So, real sugar can taste real good. And it's something our bodies have been eating for a long, long time.
How did you come up with the delicious recipe? Because if I knew how to make this,
That would be impossible.
It's really hard to make a really good cereal like this. So how did you come up with this really good recipe?
Yeah, a lot of trial and error. I mean, it was a lot of hours in my kitchen covered in flour, and then I partnered with somebody who knew a little bit more about recipe making than me, and was sort of like, here's my parameters. It's got to be grain-free, refined sugar-free, and no added preservatives or any fake stuff into the product. And the first two people I talked to said, no way, you're crazy. You can't do that. You need all these artificial flavors. You need all these artificial sugars. You can't use just honey. You can't use just coconut sugar. And I think a lot of times in your life, people will tell you no. And those are people that just will never try anything and never accomplish anything great. And so rather than take that no as gospel, I kind of took it and moved on and persevered with what I wanted. And I knew real food could taste real good, and just use very simple ingredients. And so that was kind of the genesis of Lovebird, of just hearing the word no and then just pressing on, knowing that, hey, I eat honey all the time and it's delicious. Like, why can't I make a cereal with it?
Mm-hmm. And it's so sad that we had to get to this way and not use real food to make food. Because back then we used to make food, like real food, out of, like, we used to eat food made out of real food. But now we're just eating, like a lot of kids these days, especially in America, they're eating so much crap like these cereals. So it's really sad that we had to gotten to the point that we have to put a label on what's real and what's not, because everything should be real. I don't know why they changed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to the incentives we were talking about, right? I think, and it goes back to our farming, right? Industrial agriculture has sort of created a system in which you look at the ingredients on a lot of these junk food products, they're all the same. They're either oat, corn, soy, wheat, or some sort of derivative from those, because those are heavily subsidized by the government, or our taxpayer dollars go to making those ingredients really cheap. And when you start making something really cheap, you make it very uniform, and you lose all of the diversity of nutrients and the diversity in the soil. And so that's why you see those types of ingredients everywhere. And the reason why they're so heavily used is because they're cheap. And why they use them because they're cheap is because they can make more money on it. And it makes more profitable food. So I think anytime you put profit over people's health, you'll get outcomes like you have today, where 1 in 2 people have a chronic disease, and 38% of 12 to 19-year-olds have pre-diabetes. So that's how we find ourselves in this situation today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like your own, like your cereal, it was made like Costco.
It's
and
now
that's, like,
in
amazing.
Costco, and it's amazing how it's now in like these big, huge
shops,
supermarkets. It really is amazing. So you had a big dream, and you were going against mainstream. What keeps you motivated?
I mean, people like yourself. I mean, I think talking to people, whether they're adults or kids or whatever age they are, I think the rising awareness of how food impacts our bodies and how food impacts the world, and just trying to make it a little bit better, right? Like, nothing is perfect. And I think that motivation comes from, I run the entire Instagram account, right? Every DM, every email is me. And like that feedback of talking to people really keeps me motivated, because as I mentioned, I hear no a lot, right? And so people telling me that I can't do anything, or I can't get into Costco, or I had a mentor early on told me that I just couldn't do this, and rather than take that as my destiny, I decided to go do something different. And I think every time you do something different, someone's going to tell you you're wrong or make fun of you. But I think being original and blazing your own trail is the most powerful thing you can do. So I would never take no for an answer and just keep going. And I think talking to people like yourselves who understand and appreciate, but also support, gives me a ton of confidence to keep going. Because there are some days where you're like, wow, like, is this really going to work? Like, Costco is big. Like, I hope it goes well. And I think seeing the community of people who care about food as much as I do, if not more, makes me very excited and very motivated.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
We love it a lot.
Mhm.
We take it everywhere we go. We even had it at the rally. What do you think would be like the best meal to have to clean up your breakfast?
Like, what are your favorite ways to use it?
Oh, I mean, I love it with a classic in a bowl with milk. I've seen a lot of great recipes that make these little like cereal treat bars that I've tried that are awesome with some chocolate on top. But I just like classic. I like a bowl of honey, Lovebird with some sliced bananas on it, and some nice, delicious milk as well. So I like to keep it pretty simple.
Yeah. And
How do you like to eat it?
yeah, we just like to eat it like with the milk.
We take we take the we take your cereal, your awesome cereal. We put it in a bowl, and then we just instead of using milk because sometimes we stay away from milk most of the times.
Imad,
We take
milk is
almond milk.
first. Imad, milk is first, and then cereal. You put milk, and then you put the cereal.
No, you put the cereal and then
No,
the
you
milk.
put the milk, and then you put the cereal. So what
This is a great debate. There's a lot of debate. Is it the milk first or the cereal first? I'm a cereal first person myself, but
Yeah.
to each their own.
Okay, so what is the one thing kids can do today to get closer to eating real food?
I think just go visit a farm. Go see where your food comes from. Because I think if your only exposure to food is a grocery store, it kind of shortchanges the process. And I think, I've brought my kids to some farms. They're younger than you are, so they're not as aware of what's going on. But like to see the cows, to see the different animals, to see the fields, right, of whatever it might be, whatever crop it might be, it kind of ties it together as well. So I think knowing where your food comes from is a big step to understanding and kind of starting that food journey because you have a greater appreciation for it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was amazing.
Amazing.
You are seriously our superhero. Thank you for all that you do for us.
Kids.
You're my superheroes. Thank you for all that you do with spreading awareness about holistic and food and health and all of that and throwing boxes. It's great.
So where can we learn more about you and your amazing work?
Yeah, you can check out lovebirdfoods.com or Eat Lovebird on Instagram. We're pretty much available across the country now, but we have a store locator on our website too if you want to find it at a store locally near you. And wherever you get Lovebird is fine by me. And just thank you for thinking about it and thank you for having me.
So now let's recap Mr. Parker's key points.
Real food can taste really good, especially this one. Junk ingredients are addictive. Overconsumption of cereal is bad. Lovebird cereal is delicious and nutritious. Us kids are becoming sicker and more probiotics.
And more probiotics. And we need more and more probiotics.
Food impacts our body and our world. Lovebird is made with resistant starch and probiotics.
Educate kids about how the foods affect your body. Highlight all the ways real food help us. And we need to shape our food future. We need to vote with our dollar.
Go visit a farm. See where your food comes from.
We kids need to dream big like Mr. Parker. Take your no and persevere. Blaze your own trail is the best thing we can do.
And go buy
My
Lovebird cereal today.
Today, like right
Well
now. What
said.
are you doing?
And get every flavor because every single flavor is very
Very good.
Awesome.
delicious.
Very delicious. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zain Sari.
I'm Imad.
And I'm Kasim.
Follow my Flaming Eye on social media, Holistic Mom D, and look out for my mom's book that came out weeks ago, Adam's Healing Adventure: Fake Food versus Real Food. Food Label Detectives. And stay tuned for our book, The Teen Health Revolution, released in 2025. Kids need to learn for other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kids Show, where kids are empowering kids.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
everyone.